Right, Karen Schroeder, Councilor Hogan, and Don Radke are all present. The others are excused. Good morning. And so therefore we have a quorum. We'll note that proof of notice is included on the back side of your front page, if you print it double-sided, or the second page. And I will move to two sets of minutes. We have the June 23rd, 2025 board meeting minutes. So I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Those aren't ready for this meeting.
Oh, well, let's take that off the agenda. So moving on, we've got, let's see, gotta double check before I speak now. The meeting minutes from July 10, 2025. I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting minutes for the July 10th, 2025 Governance Committee meeting are approved. Next up, we've got new business. It's like a couple of resolutions. So I'm just gonna talk through those.
So the first item, number 4, is a resolution to enter into agreement with the Syracuse Urban Renewal Agency for the administration of the Block Challenge Grant Program. So this, the terms that are within here kind of speak specifically to the tiers of programming that we have adopted so far, specific to the Block Challenge Grant. I expect that we would look to, and I would kind of defer to Meg to weigh in on this, but either amend the agreement or implement kind of a secondary agreement under the umbrella of the total $2.5 million funding. The reason for that being just that they're within the bounds of kind of SIR requirements. There's something that we will need to require once we get to the point of having some more significant homeowner renovation programs that will need to all be spelled out kind of within in a given agreement. And so rather than understanding kind of our timeline that we're working on, rather than trying to have that all fully baked out in the context of a singular agreement, we've set this up in such a way where it's specific to kind of what we have adopted so far. I think there's probably could be a little bit of flexibility there if the board felt like there was things that they wanted to see done differently.
In terms of hi everybody, in case I haven't met you, my name is Meg Ryan. I'm a senior corporation counsel, and I also am counsel to the Syracuse Urban Renewal Agency, so I'm here in that capacity. Are you talking about in terms of like the whole contract, Michelle? Mm-hmm. Yes, because that's very much a draft. It still needs to be for council. So the way that SIR typically would do it is just to approve, because SIR will be taking this up right after this meeting and would approve an agreement subject to additional terms approved by SIR's council. I'm not sure how if that's something that would also be similar to the Housing Strategies Corporation, but that is how SIR would do it. So there is some flexibility as terms, because we're still working out the terms, because this is a very different type of agreement. And so it's going to need some fleshing out, which I want to make sure we have the ability to do so. In terms of why I've kind of drafted it so it's geared towards just this tier 1 or the block, and that the Housing Strategies Corporation will be doing other activities beyond that. But since that's what's fleshed out, and SIRA, since it is the funds are flowing through SIRA, SIRA needs to have some oversight, making sure that the activities that the funds would be used for are in alignment with the new urban renewal, the second urban renewal plan. So that's why.
So this read to me as if we were using full 2.5 million for the block grant challenge program, and that confused me.
Okay. Okay, and then that's good feedback, and I can make adjustments to reflect that. Because in the SIRA resolution that I've drafted for the board to consider, it would be subject to any amendments approved by both bodies.
So that's kind of what I was getting at, is like at the point that we fully finalize kind of what the eligibility criteria would be for a homeowner renovation grant, then we would look to amend this agreement so that that is kind of baked in to this.
So every time we want a new program, we have to go back to Sarah and ask their permission.
I think as it stands currently right now, but the alternative to that, barring anything else that Meg has from a legal instrumentation, kind of would put us in a position where we're not able to really start much of anything until we have everything kind of adjusted. And so I think understanding the relative of the boards that we need to convene, I think we're while we would want to minimize doing that, I think we can easily enough plan for to accommodate timelines as such as we need to schedule those meetings.
So we're gonna see it again after the Sura board makes changes.
So at the point, you would see it again at the point that we would have finalized terms that we would want to implement for homeowner renovation programming, kind of above and beyond this initial block challenge program. Those terms, then we would kind of, those would come back to the Housing Strategies Corporation Board, and then Sura would, both Sura and the Housing Strategies Corporation Board would again review to confirm that they wanted those terms to be a part of this agreement.
But it sounded like there would be further amendments to this by council before this is signed.
Yes, so that would be, that could certainly be, I can leave that up to Michelle, how that would be handled here. Mayor Walsh is the signatory for Sura, so he would be reviewing it from Sura's perspective as well. But so if you wanted to circulate it as we flesh it out a little bit more.
Sorry, and just for clarification's sake, are we using council in the context of the common council or council as in legal council?
Legal counsel.
That's what I thought. Right,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes,
But all three Sura members are on the Housing Street.
Correct, yes. So I think
Amendments might be needed. Speak now or hold.
Oh, wait a minute, Mike, you're not on this.
I'm not the board, no.
of the
Yeah,
Housing
sure.
Strategies
Sure.
Corporation.
Okay, you're not, so, but you're here.
So who's reviewing it as our legal counsel?
So Meg has prepared it for legal counsel for Housing Strategies Corporation. Gene Everett also reviewed
This?
this agreement, yes.
Concern is
I mean,
legal counsel for both.
well, it would be nice if we could talk to Jean to get her feedback on some of this and to give her some of our feedback on this. This says that we have to follow Sura's procurement policy, not our own, but it's not attached. Can we get a copy of that?
oh, of course.
And it says that any subcontractors we hire have to be approved by Sura, so I guess maybe you guys can add that to your 10:30 agenda to approve the next agreement that we're gonna enter into with home headquarters.
Yeah, we can do.
I would note that Sura's procurement policy, the Housing Strategies Corporations was mirrored based off of that. So again, lots of similarities.
It says here that we can only use the financial assistance as described, only for those purposes permitted by the act. I'm guessing that's the Urban Renewal Act.
That's correct.
Do we know what
It should be defined.
are permitted? Is there a,
Oh, it's not defined, I'm sorry, to be clear. In the agreement, but in the general municipal law, so I will
okay,
provide that language. It's pretty,
be helpful to kind of say, yeah, this is our menu of options, basically. Is there anything in here about when Sura is going to cut the check? I don't see anything about the disbursement of funds.
I don't believe so, because that was something that I needed some clarity on as well, so that's something that we can, and Sarah on as well.
We also changed the number of the teams to 3 or more. You remember on page 3, number 3.
Oh, correct, yes.
Good catch, Shane.
And I guess I'm hoping that under number 5 here, where it says we can use up to 10% for administrative costs, I'm hoping it'll be permissible for us to pay for attorneys and accountants and insurance policies, but you'll have to verify that. I mean, obviously, we need to enter into this so that we can keep going and get things done, but this kind of does. And this question gnawing at the back of my mind about, is this really the right corporate vehicle to do this work if we're having to create these cumbersome processes?
I mean, I think it's just the nature of using municipal funds for this type of purpose. It's certainly not ideal, but it's the way that it can be legally compliant. But yeah, raise a fair question.
When we get to the point where we have unanimous,
We can do.
Well,
can we?
the state money comes with a lot of rules also.
We won't need Sarah as the.
Yeah. It's always
But
gonna
I'm taking a further leap beyond government money.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when we were looking at it, initially, we always look at our existing so as to not create another, but we felt, Sura was inherently restrictive in a way that, that limited our ability to do everything that we wanted to do. And so we felt it was appropriate to create the, Strategies Corporation, but again, specific to municipal funds, it just ironically, required us to bring Sura in, but not ideal.
On the topic of legal counsel review, have we issued an RFP for the Housing Strategies Corporation to hire its own legal counsel?
Yep, the RFP has been finalized and we put it out.
It's not on yet.
Okay. It will be going out imminently, so it is, all of the language is ready to go. We're working with procurement office just to confirm. Make sure it goes out to you, but
I think what we had legal counsel at these meetings to answer some of these questions and.
And that's, I think, part of the reason for us doing the RFP. Obviously, I think Jean has a lot of background and experience specific to local development corporations and particularly within the realm of housing, but just from ability to have people that are here in person.
This kind of reminds me of the early days of the land bank, Caitlin. When you're trying to stand up a new
Yeah.
corporation and you're relying on the city and existing resources. And so we're at that early startup phase where it's funkier than we would like to be. But someday we'll have our own cable drive, house or boat handle.
Yeah, still be very
It's gonna be great.
sense.
Other questions? So how do we make sure that all of the questions and concerns are properly addressed within the resolution or the motion? Thoughts, Caitlin?
In final form, approved by the Housing Strategies Corporation's legal counsel and Sura's legal counsel.
That's fine. Yes, because that's what, sorry, what you.
Sounds like a
The little
motion.
thing on page 3, number
Yes.
5.
Yeah.
It says the city will be sued for indirect. I'm assuming it means used.
That's a good catch.
That's a good one.
So Caitlin, are you comfortable making that
Sure.
motion?
Yes.
Second to that motion.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, carried. Okay, good. Next resolution.
The next resolution is to waive the RFP process to enter into an agreement with home headquarters for administration of the Block Challenge Grant Program. So this effectively kind of calls out some specific terms of what that program would be based on what the Housing Strategies Corporation Board has previously approved for Block Challenge programmatic eligibility. It is tied to the full amount that has been authorized for the Block Challenge program within this fiscal year for the organization, so a little over $70,000. Allows for a 10% administrative fee to go to home headquarters of that total amount for their office contributions and admin support. So the length of the agreement is basically until that amount that has been authorized is fully spent down or would otherwise be amended. So in the event that we have a huge uptick in applications above and beyond what we anticipated for early phases, then obviously we would not only need to amend the budget, but look to possibly amend kind of the scope of this agreement. But Again, with some of our, as we have discussed, kind of the purpose of this is just allowing us to be able to get programming launched this year. Strike a balance between having our staff get used to kind of systems and processes and the intake flow of things. Our staff within NBD will be kind of handling all the front end interfacing with applicants. So up to the point of kind of full approval, we won't have to worry about home headquarters needing to do any additional kind of qualifications there. But then at the point that project has been completed, ready for reimbursement, we will make that connection to headquarters staff. And then they will be the entity that is kind of cutting those checks.
So home headquarters will cut the check to the participant.
Correct.
Do we anticipate releasing publicly what area in those specific neighborhoods we're going to concentrate on?
Yeah, and so the maps, we will have all of that out with all of our application materials, but we're planning to open up the program to the entire scope of the neighborhoods for this block challenge program. So if you can meet the term of having at least 3 people that you can visually see within a line of sight, any of the properties that are in the given neighborhood can be eligible. I do anticipate that when we get to the point of doing the larger homeowner renovation programs, that's where we'll have some tighter geographies. So we won't necessarily put those out to the full neighborhoods all at once.
When you say the whole neighborhood, Tip Hill and Salt Springs.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Whether it was all 4.
Yeah.
Can you just remind me how I know you mentioned the fiscal year, but how we settled on 7,400?
That's 10% of the 70,000. I think when we adjusted the math, I think there was some discussion at the June board meeting
That's right.
that we wanted to bump those dollars up.
Yeah.
So, and I think we can obviously kind of continue to fine tune that based on what we see from a participation rate. I think some of the numbers that we were estimating based on what CCB has seen in other communities that have done this, there's very few instances in which people are actually going up to the full $2,500. On average, it's closer to about $500 that would be being matched for a given project. So if a homeowner is spending $1,000, $500 is coming from Housing Strategies Corporation, and the other $500 from the homeowner.
Are we reimbursing home headquarters after you cut a check to the homeowners, or are we advancing?
We're helping advancing.
So I think we would want to kind of, that's, I think, a conversation with Commissioner Canizero, just from his capacity as the Chief Financial Officer for Housing Strategies Corporation. What is the best way that we can kind of go about that?
But we talked about it, 80 groups or tranches.
Yeah.
I hate that word, but
There's not any legal reason why we couldn't advance it. Okay.
Not that I've seen. I think it's just kind of the, again, immediate timing of this. It's just a question of kind of how quickly can we, number one, get this authorized and then just get a check cut. But in the grand scheme of total contracts that we have, or that the city and its municipal corporations has in place with headquarters for various housing programming, obviously $70,000 comparatively, we can, for the period of time that we're working with, we can make it work.
Other questions? Staff heard loud and clear from the board the last meeting that we wanted to get moving, so that's the idea here.
So it's a match?
Yep. 50-50 match.
How are you certain that they match?
Everything will need to be based off of documented expenses. I think so. We would consider things that you might need as like a supply related to doing the project. That all can be a documented expense that we would allow, but I think in that way it does save a lot of risk for the organization. It's not like we're putting money out directly to homeowners before projects are actually getting completed. So
And
in
then
the
they'll all
event,
get a list of approved contractors. We're gonna have to.
we will put out a list of contractors of the cities, anyone that is on within kind of the city registers for contractors. Again, if there's a scope of work that someone is taking on that requires a license to do that work, we will make sure that all of those are in place, but we are not mandating that specific contractors be used. Again, I think
So somebody can hire their uncle.
They could hire their uncle, they could hire themselves, but again, kind of we will only be able to reimburse for documented expenses. So if there's invoices and things that we could back to that and it all seems reasonable, then great. We expect that a lot of this scope of work is frankly going to be quite a bit of homeowners doing things themselves.
The homeowners not receiving funds themselves for their work, their time. Correct.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Move to accept the memorandum.
Great. Good second. Second. Okay, well, any further discussion? Questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, it's exciting. Yeah, so let's talk about other business, other updates, general liability insurance, program launch, block challenge.
Yep, liability insurance. So this is one of the kind of main things that we need to make sure that we had fully locked in before we start doing programming. We got the attached quote that is included in your packets. We're including it here more just for kind of FYI to everyone. I think based on the terms of the organization's procurement policy, it doesn't require any board approval or anything, but just wanted to flag it in here. If there was anything that anyone saw that would like us to evaluate differently, let us know. Caitlin did prior to this, and it is comparable based on kind of what it seems like we've got in place for our other municipal corporations, so.
Agree, Caitlin?
Yeah. So, we probably can't find coverage on this or DNO until we can double check, right?
30 days from the point that we would enter into an agreement. So I think as long as you're thinking that we're there, then I think we would move to get those in place and the understanding that we'll be able to check with their kids.
Sounds good.
Great. As far as program launch, we are still moving to try to hit the August 15th timeline for being able to open applications. We've got a couple neighbor events. Like there's a big community yard sale, I think, that's happening in Salt Springs neighborhood this weekend. There's some tabling opportunities, so we will be present at it's this weekend. So we'll be there tabling, just making sure that people know that applications will be coming up. Give people a little bit of additional time to kind of think about applications that they might be submitting. As far as kind of timing of things, I do think that understanding that we're at the August 15th timeline, we may need to kind of make some blanket adjustments that for the first applications that we're taking in, we will give people a grace period. Obviously 90 days from August 15th, you got to be pretty tight on your turnaround time to be able to get those completed. I do think that it's possible that some neighbors will have projects that they get fully done this year, but do want to make sure that we give people the opportunity for participation. We don't want to discourage applications that are coming in at this
Are you
point.
gonna go back? Would you allow reimbursement on what they did in March?
So that's, I think, a question for the board. That's something that has come. I think the idea, what we do want to try to retain a little bit of control on is making sure that the scope of work, that it's new work, I guess. My inclination is that just from kind of a program implementation standpoint, the easier way to go about that is to say, no, it needs to be new work moving forward that you would match. But I think if the board felt strongly that we wanted to make some type of accommodation for that, we could figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah, no, we don't, like in public funds, we won't go back.
Yeah. So,
Just express me.
so, yeah, I think the idea would be kind of new work above and beyond what you've done. Would like to see people kind of continue to build off of things, but
So, get a hold of something. Would it be called Rule Shell? Who?
yeah, I think referring
Because
people.
you're gonna get a lot of phone calls.
We're gonna get a lot of phone calls, so I think the intake process, it's gonna be a combination between me, Kimon, Hannah, and then we'll also have people working with their designated neighborhood planners that are in those areas. But we do want to make sure that we're being really attentive to not routing people around and kind of giving them I gotta go talk to this person, this person, this person, like.
Like our permit system. Oh,
Maybe it'd just be better to go just through the person.
I
Stop shop.
as we're kind of rolling some stuff out, I think we'll have a little bit of
Adjustment.
your assigned case manager that you get, whether that is, it'll be one of 5 people that are in our office, basically.
So if we could get a list for the council.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we'll have that put together for residents. Obviously, we've been working with our public information officer for neighborhood and business development to build out website content and get ready for press releases and all that. So.
Sounds good.
Just let us know when you send your press release.
Yeah. Will do. Any other questions, concerns?
Just a, I guess a appreciation, watching the Salt Springs neighborhood really organize around this is really gratifying. And I know looking back on Syracuse Neighborhood Initiative, that was probably the most significant legacy of that initiative was how the neighborhoods organized, Tippville Association being a great example. So seeing that unfold in new neighborhoods like Salt Springs has just been, it's a really, really positive sign. Okay. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote, meeting is adjourned. Done very good. It is upstairs. What's that?
Right now, did you say in 30 minutes?
No, it's.
Oh, I don't know.
Yes, it is.
Upstairs right
I just
now.
want to make sure, yes, right now.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're gonna have the chambers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Michelle.
Are you running upstairs? Dana, we're meetings for us. Can we try to get into our teleconference into our meetings in the future? I don't know what our tech capabilities are.
Nice, it's all logistically upstairs.
I don't know. Functionality of the chamber.
I don't know, something happened, I don't know, but Brian,